So you've met me. I'm a psychologist by background. I work in engineering, currently on the position of engineering program manager. I'm also the project manager for Ipswich, a project, an R&D project we will also show you and talk just a little bit about. In this project, my topic is collaborative intelligence. We've also talked about human AI collaboration in these past couple of days. But on top of that, I'm a mom, and I work a lot on empowering women and children through different programs and educations. My colleague today with me, Emmanuel, is on the opposite side of the spectrum. He has a PhD in informatics. He's a principal engineer and our research lead on the Ipswich project. His kind of topic of interest is conversational experience, and he will show you also what it means in terms of R&D. Apart from that, as a human being, he's also a Thai boxer, so please don't make him angry. Okay, what we will just briefly go through is just show you a little bit about who we are as a company, the journey so far. Again, this is where we are now, but there's a lot to look forward to, and this is what we will also tell you a little bit about, how research and R&D fits into everything else that we do. And on top of that, we want it to be very practical, because sometimes it can be quite abstract. If we are talking in abstract terms about our products, we wanted to show you what that means in practice. So basically, if I had to describe my company in one picture, and they say that picture is worth 1,000 words, this would be it. I know that there are some Trekkie fans here. We'll do the tour of the campus a bit later to show you also that we are Trekkie fans. Nevertheless, this is my favorite show. I'm a kid of the 80s. And this is for the, you know this, right? It's Stranger Things, right? So why I love this picture is because it's a story about 4 friends who kind of came together to explore something quite terrible. They didn't know what it was, but they still went through it and they succeeded. And that's how I feel about Infobip. This is why. So Infobip actually started in 2002. It was a community project, believe it or not. The idea was that we wanted to connect people to talk in between themselves on a really large scale. So it was like, I call it Facebook before Facebook. Nevertheless, it kind of failed, and we had a couple of fails since then. We're quite good at failing as well. But in 2006, Infobip was founded. I like this picture because we also started from a garage. You can see Google, Apple. This is the literal garage of our founders. Silvio is one of the brothers who founded Infobip. He usually says ours is a bit messier inside. It's not so nice and neat. But yes, it started in a garage with 2 people, then 3 people, and then they started a company, 2 brothers and a friend. So basically 3 engineers. Today, this is where we are. So we are currently today in Alpha Centauri here in Zagreb. This is our biggest campus for around 900 people. Where I come from is Pangea. That's the headquarters in Vodnjan. It's for around 300, 350 people. And there we also have Quantum, which is our education and innovation center. So it's meant to kind of, again, connect us to the community. That's where we have a lot of our educations and workshops. This is only Croatia, but giving you a picture of a large scale, I'm not sure how much you can see. Let me try doing this. Okay, so where we are now, 75 offices around the world. As you can see, we are quite spread all over the world. I think we are missing Antarctica and the penguins. Nevertheless, we are still expanding. This also means that we have a very, really global reach. We work with 190 countries. Of course, we don't have that many offices, but nevertheless, we are quite well spread, so we can work with a lot of companies around the world. We are currently around 3,500 employees. We have 40+ data centers globally. And what's really important, and I'm mentioning this because this tells you about the technical advances and the power of Infobip, is we have over 800 direct operator connections. I will tell you also what that means and why this is important when we go a little bit under the hood. On the right side, what you can see, some of our partners, our client base, and of course, some strategic partnerships where we do also a lot of integrations. Now, somebody said, and thank you, Larry, for that, I've never heard of Infobip before coming here. This is something we hear a lot. The reason is that we are a B2B company. So our main business is basically communication. We are a communication platform as a service, a full stack platform. But why people do not know about us is basically because we work with other businesses that provide services to you. So let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you've ever been contacted by your bank. Have you ever were driven by a Uber, Volt, ordered food, any retail shop that delivered anything to you, any customer service you've been calling? Okay. So what you basically don't know is that beneath the hood is basically Infobip. So to be able to communicate with Uber, to be able to have the double masking so that the person can be concealed and that you have your privacy and security, that's where we come in. People also ask me, well, why doesn't some other company do that? Why don't they have their own communication office? Because of the scale. When you are A2P, application to person, you normally communicate with one person. I call my dad, I call my husband, I talk to my friends and so on. When it comes to business, it's about billions of interactions. For us personally, it's about 42 billion of monthly interactions. This also means we have to have a very good platform, technologically speaking, and a really, really good uptime. I think our record in terms of transitions per second is 80,000 messages per second, if you can imagine that. Okay, let's see if this works.
Coverage to more than 195 countries, including 98% of the US. All Amy knows is there's an issue with her account. She's worried, and she wants to speak to someone just like Kai. Amy doesn't care about Infobip's 99.99% uptime, our 40-plus data centers, or how our direct-to-carrier connections minimize hops and maximize quality. She doesn't know that we carefully handle 100 billion minutes of calls just like hers every year. But she loves being able to hear Kai so clearly, it's like he's standing by her side. Amy has no idea that, with our help, Kai's company can have conversations like these at immense scale, on local numbers that its customers feel comfortable answering. She's not thinking about features like smart routing, which matched her need to Kai's expertise, or number masking, which keeps her safe by keeping her real number hidden. Right now, Amy doesn't even care that, with Infobip behind the scenes, Kai's company can have a voice conversation with her on any channel, like a regular phone call, in-app, on WhatsApp, even video. Right now, Amy just cares that she's spoken with Kai, and he's taking care of everything. If conversations like Amy's matter to your business, we should talk.
So, what's under the hood? A bit complex picture. I'm not going to go into details, and you don't have to learn it by heart. But what it basically starts from, this is a simplified picture of the full stack. So beneath it, you have, of course, the telco operators and the core enablement. That's the infrastructure. On top of that, what we have is individual messaging channels. And the one I've shown you is this one. So its voice is just a really, really small part of it. On top of that, of course, there are different applications, network APIs, where we can do a lot of different things. We can look for numbers, we can authenticate people, which is really, really important when talking about security, but also we can verify numbers and do very, very different things. Very popular today are the chat apps. We call them OTTs, over the top, because they work on the Wi-Fi. And I will also show you why today we see a big increase in messaging. On top of that, what you can see in terms of people, CDP, moments, conversations, and answers are different products. So they are actually built to kind of help people navigate without actually having to know all this, let's say, bottom part. On top of that, what we are also now working on is our big marketplace, where people can then connect through Infobip, through other providers, and also through integrations, which you can see on the right. Important thing at this point is that we are very, very focused on AI, which is also the topic of these 3 days. And that's why we have an AI hub. And that's also where basically Emmanuel and I also work with a lot of engineers to make sure that all of this is also AI backed. Why is this important even? People usually, when we discussed Infobip before, people usually say, oh, you're an SMS company. To be honest, we are. We still are. SMS around the world is still the most used channel. Also, if you ever get chased by a lion, use SMS, don't use WhatsApp, because WhatsApp doesn't work in some parts of the world. Also, Wi-Fi doesn't work in some parts of the world. I'm joking, obviously, but if you want to be sure that the message will actually be delivered, you send an SMS, right? Everything else you have to wait. You don't know if the person on the other side has Wi-Fi and so on and so on. So that's the difference. Nevertheless, we see that messaging still grows. The market still grows. We see the new generations, and I think this is personally for me very interesting, following through these generations. And what we see, and we do a lot of analytics on our own data that goes through the platform, is that today we see increase in conversational messaging. The new generations no longer want to talk to people. They want to send messages. It's easier. Me too. It's simply the way it works. It's more easier. We also know that they are now part of the global workforce, at least 1/3 of them. So yes, we see that in the future, we expect that there will still be an increase both in chat app messages, in mobile app messages, and that's why we are doing what we are doing. Why is this difficult today? Is because it's obviously not so simple. It seems simple when you say it like this. But a lot of the times, a lot of these channels and a lot of the journeys that people go through communicating with one another can be broken in many different ways. I won't go into all of this, but obviously there are some things that are happening where people don't actually have the best user experience. But this is where we are now. We are always looking what's coming next, and this is a really important part of us. And this is why all of our teams are kind of dedicating a lot of our time to R&D. So the project that we are currently working on, that's probably the biggest project that we have, is called Infobip Global Communication Platform. It's a very simple name for a very complex project. It's actually an IPCEITSIS project. IPCEITSIS means important project of common European interest. So those are the most biggest European strategic projects. And our area specifically is next generation cloud infrastructure services. I won't bore you with the details, but I can tell you that Infobip is Croatia's only representative in this consortium. It's quite large. It's led by 19 companies, 12 member states, but there are over 120 companies working in this consortium to make it happen. The whole point of it is basically to build our own European system. Now, you've heard a lot at the European level that we now want to kind of combat the hyperscalers, that we want to be united, that we want to have some sovereignty, that we want to be standalone. Where our project comes in is that we are basically focusing on secure, energy efficient, and privacy first communications. So it's a lot about understanding how can we make that communication very secure, but also human-centered. I think this is a really crucial part, and that's why we are also here with you today. Our focus definitely is on AI-enhanced communication tools. There's a lot going on also on the infrastructure part, because we cannot obviously work with AI only on applicational and development level. There's a lot that needs to happen also on the integration and infrastructure as such. But also what we always do, there's a big part of the project dedicated to digital skills and educating the youth. So what we are actually trying to do is get the research that we do and the results and the outputs of the project directly into the classroom. I mentioned the project earlier in these couple of days about education, and I think for me personally, this is super important. On the left side, you can see some of the components that are there. It's a really big team, so it's around 300 plus people. So I personally manage 29 cross-functional teams to be able to pull this off. It's a tricky business. Why is it important for us also? And why are we here today? So someone might be asking, okay, what does this has to do with Lumen and Graphia? And, it's just a company, some company working on something. We are also trying to build an ecosystem with absolutely everything that we do. We are maybe one of the unicorns. We now have 2 unicorns in Croatia, but we were the first one. But it's not just about us, it's about building this ecosystem. And we understand that for all of us to succeed, we have to support each other. And this needs to be done collaboratively. And that's why we are also here today with you, making sure that also you can do what you do and to make everything work together. So on the left side, basically, are these different working streams going from infrastructure to basically orchestration, visualization, applications, and smart data processing tools and services. And we are basically included in a lot of those streams with this project. On the right side, you can see some of our partners. So we do have a very strong research network. I'm also showing you this in case anyone is interested in collaborating with us in the future. We are really, really open to collaboration. Okay, this is enough from me. Let me introduce my colleague Emmanuel, who will tell you a little bit about the research side of the project. He's our research lead, and these are some of our research areas. So here you go.
Thanks, Monika, for the kind introduction. I think, yeah, Monika has said, I think, like, a lot of, so you already know everything. But maybe, like, just to show you a bit, like, the scale of what we are doing. I think, you know, the biggest problem in research that, like, probably you have always also, like, got a question, like, or you have to answer, like, why should we do this? Like, what's the value here? And this is, like, what we are also here doing. We want to actually show that there is some kind of value in research. So in our case, from our business perspective, so we, like, found out that there are actually different research topics that we basically wanna look into. So, like, if you go into, like, the first, so the first few are, like, more like everything what has to do with, I know, AI interacting with a human. The second ones are, like, more like optimizing like our network, and then, like, also, like, more on the security, like detecting spam and fraud, especially, like, if you think about voice, like robocalls, those kind of things. So in our case, basically what I want to show you actually here, that there is a lot of value in research, especially in our case, and we recognize this. And I actually want to show you, like, a good, like, maybe a success story where we don't want to just do research because of research purposes, but actually to see, like, okay, we can actually grow a research topic from just an idea to something that maybe is a prototype, and then in the end it ends up a product. And this is, I think, the hardest things to show, because I believe, like, there's a lot of things from all those, like, previous research topics that we can do this. So here, just like one of those, like, research basically projects that we have done. So where we said, okay, like, just from a pure research perspective, we are in a conversational space. So if we think about, like, human AI interaction and overall conversational agents, so we ask ourselves the question, okay, like, can we, like, maybe, like, gamified multimodal chatbots, like, help our customers, like, to boost their overall, like, branding, lead acquisition? Like, can we just, like, by introducing, like, some kind of, like, those games actually, yeah, make better visibility and overall increase the engagement of users? So this is actually what we did. So we actually looked into, like, how, so we are in this, like, conversational setting, our clients are using chatbots. So if I would make a game where you need to, like, I know, send me a voice message where I tell you, I know, say something, how would you know, like, how would you make this game? So in our case, what we did, we made a game where you said you have to say some specific word. So in this case, you have to say, I know, I love Berlin, but, like, the recording, what you see in voice, in WhatsApp, it has to look at some kind of shape. In this, like, game, we said, okay, you don't see it here, maybe, like, this is a bit black, but, like, the recording has to look like the skyline of Berlin. Now the question is, okay, like, how can you do this? So you have to play around a lot. So you have to really match the text that you're saying, you have to really match the pitch, the, like, pronunciation, different things happen. And then depending, like, how good you say, you're gonna get a different score. And our hypothesis here, okay, if we make such kind of game, users are gonna be really engaged. Our also question was, okay, how can we actually make this matching of, like, how can you score it? So this is, like, from an algorithmic perspective, like, this was our research, okay, how can we actually compare a voice signal to an image and a text? And in the end, so we did this research, and so in the end, we actually published a research paper on that, I think, yeah, a few weeks ago. It was just presented. So what we saw is like, so usually like it looks like this. Somebody like sends a voice message, you get a score, and then you have a position, and then maybe you ask the chatbot, and then you get you maybe like try again. And like what you see here, what was for our interesting, so there are quite few people, so they're like participants who really get crazy. So I think one person in our user studies sent like 700 messages a day. So imagine like recording yourself. So at one conference, one person went to the public transport in the tram and like recorded himself because like the background noise would help him. 4 guys went to the bathroom with their own WhatsApp chat, group chat, and then tested it out. And then they said it. Another guy was humming. Another one was stuttering. Another one was singing. So they're like different strategies then that didn't help. Then one guy said like, "Oh no, this is really stupid. This is like really like this is the worst idea ever. Why would anybody use it?" But then he was sending voice messages at like midnight. So from a, like a psychological perspective, it's interesting. Like those things that like depending how you frame it, how you like again like make this like shape matching. Because in this case we were investigating like, okay, how do you calculate the score? And like it's not perfect. It's a trade-off. Either like you're gonna maybe like match the pitch, or like you're gonna pronounce it rightly, and then depending on that, like you're gonna have a different score. It's really hard. With one, I think one guy really opened his laptop, tried to synthetically generate the voice signal. He was quite close, but didn't match it. So it's actually a hard problem, and it's really interesting to see like how some people really get engaged in that. So this was from our side, like just from a pure like research perspective, because we are interested in overall like this like human AI interaction. How are people interacting with conversational agents, and what actually brings people to engage more with a certain brand or with a certain, like in this kind of a certain competition. Actually, we also had a prize. I think you could have won like a really huge Lego set. So one guy had to like, he came with a plane. So I'm not sure how he brought it in his luggage, but he took it with him. But overall, the bigger, I think, story here is, okay, we did this just like pure from a research perspective. This was a research idea. We were interested into finding out how people are interacting with such chatbots and why are they actually doing that. So we did this user studies. So, and in the end, this now moved like from this research idea to proof of concept. And actually, we are now moving this like, or basically building a whole product based on that. So this just shows that like research ideas can have a lot of potential to being productivized in the end. You just maybe like have to have a good hunch that like your initial research topics that you're working on are as aligned as close as possible to your business ideas. This was, for instance, in our case. So I think you said like the voice isn't, the audio isn't working. So here, like on this video, you would actually hear she was really engaged. Like she really hear. I'm not a good singer, but I'm gonna try to recreate. Like really wicked with a high pitch and holding it like, "I love Berlin." Like it was like she was screaming around, and people were looking at like, what is she doing? So then other people came. So you have like those kind of effects where the crowd then gets engaged. So this was actually at a conference. We actually thought a better idea would be to say, "I love Infobip," because there was a competitor of us nearby. So maybe that was also like a good strategy. But overall, like now what we are doing is like really looking how we can maybe scale this out and we are like currently like communicating with different clients to test the market and really then to see, okay, how can we, for any kind of client, like I know here this is the chatbot where then you basically register to be in this competition, and then in the end you get like a chatbot which you can interact, play games, and then come back maybe later that day. And later, like at 2 p.m., we have actually a workshop where we'll be gonna work. So we would now hear a sound where, okay, there's a caption, that's good. But basically, then we will later have a workshop at 2 p.m. where then you will also see, like in Infobip, you can actually make those kind of chatbots on our platform pretty easy. You don't even need to know that much of code. Or if you do, even you can make maybe better things. Okay, But that's, I think, that from myself. Try to keep it short.
Great. Thank you.